When discussing shark media, there is really only one place to start. I'm talking about a film so iconic that it was one of the top-grossing films of all time, the movie that scared people out of the water for decades. That's right, I'm talking about Jaws.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Before going into the effect that Jaws had on society, let's cover some background information. The film was based off of the book Jaws, written by Peter Benchley in 1974. It spent more than 40 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list and made Benchley one of the most successful first novelists in literary history. Benchley chose a shark as the villain of his tale due to extensive knowledge of the ocean gained by frequent visits to Nantucket Island in Massachusetts. His interest in sharks grew when he heard about a huge shark caught off the coast of Montauk, Long Island in 1965. The release of Jaws saw a new wave of fear released on the public, with the slogan, "Don't go in the water," becoming a cover phrase for all potentially shark-infested waters. Since the film portrayed sharks as vengeful predators that could target specific human beings, the public went into an anti-shark frenzy that paved the way for various acts of animal cruelty, as well as a new type of shark-focused media. Jaws may have been a turning point for the way sharks are perceived by the public, but it was also the film that revolutionized the way movies are advertised. Prior to the summer of 1975, studios generally did not advertise on network television due to the extreme cost. Since by this point, Jaws had already gone over budget by 300%, Columbia Pictures decided to take the $3.5 million chance to see if TV advertising would make a difference, and they released minute-long trailers during prime time in the 3 days prior to the Jaws release date.
There is a creature alive today who has survived millions of years of evolution without change, without passion, and without logic. It lives to kill. A mindless eating machine. It will attack and devour anything. It is as if God created the devil and gave him jaws. Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
From the best-selling novel, Jaws, rated PG, may be too intense for younger children.
Such as calling the shark a devil created by God. These minute-long trailers helped Jaws to beat pretty much all of the prior records, with the film grossing $260 million in the U.S. alone. After this success, studios put a lot more focus on television advertising, to the point where today, advertising makes up about half of the production budget for films. Jaws also helped to change the way that movies were released to theater. The change started with the 1972 release of The Godfather. Prior to The Godfather, high-profile movies would typically play for 3 months or so in only one location, before slowly moving into other major cities, and then, finally, to second and third-run theaters in small towns across the country. Also, the first theater to premiere the film had a monopoly of sorts. It had a clearance over a large area in which no other theater could play the same film. When in 1972, Paramount opened The Godfather in 5 theaters at once and moved to 316 theaters in the following week, the studio was able to challenge the theater's clearance policy, and before long, The Godfather was taking in $1 million a day and setting box office records. Jaws opened in 465 theaters, and in an astonishing 78 days, it had already dethroned The Godfather at the box office. By comparison, it took more than 25 years for Gone with the Wind to be knocked out of the top spot by The Sound of Music in 1965. By releasing the film all across the country at the same time, Jaws became a talking point that took pop culture by storm, uniting the nation in fear. Before long, the film became a critical piece of pop culture that left everyone hungering for more shark media. The word shark was irreparably tied with monster, and it didn't take long for Hollywood to capitalize on that. 10 years after Jaws hit the theaters, a group of producers for the fledgling TV channel Discovery all had a private showing in the studio's basement of the film, followed by a trip to a local bar. About 4 rounds in, the producers started a list of cool ideas on a napkin. One of the only items on the list that was still legible after they had sobered up was the phrase Shark Week. This launched a series of meetings that eventually led to the first official Shark Week in 1988. From the get-go, Shark Week more than doubled the channel's ratings and won them notoriety for their reckless approach to filming sharks in nature. Despite this, the Discovery Channel's expeditions were able to fund more shark research and increase the amount of understanding we have for the species. Their shrill insistence on portraying sharks as murderous beasts, however, helped to contribute significantly to the connotation of fear that we have shoved upon them, while further popularizing the idea of shark media. How did Shark Week become so successful, you ask? Discovery was able to launch a very strong ad campaign drawing on the fear people still had from Jaws, with names like Shark Week, The Revenge, and Shark Week, They're Back, as homage to the film that started the shark craze. In their earlier years, the main advertising strategy included focusing on the fear while still maintaining scientific accuracy. In more recent years, however, Discovery has made the switch to more comedic approach to their advertising with commercials like these.
2 weeks ago, the world fell in love with Snuffy the seal, who washed up on shore injured and dehydrated. We now go live to Snuffy's triumphant return to the sea.
We are just moments away from releasing Snuffy, the rescued seal, back into the ocean. And now you see it, Snuffy's triumphant return.
Holy
Shark Week. It's a bad week to be a seal.
As you can see, this humorous parody of a newscast casts a shark into a villain's role while using the catchphrase, "It's a bad week to be a seal," to comedically draw attention to the reality of prey animals. The idea of Shark Week has become such an icon in pop culture that many people consider it a holiday. It has come to the point that many other companies will create Shark Week-oriented items in the way that they decorate products with Santa Claus around Christmas. Oh, and for those of you who grew attached to Snuffy, here's a follow-up commercial published by Discovery.
There's relief at the beach today. The shark that's been terrorizing the coastline has been caught.
So I was throwing and then I tried to set the hook.
That's Shark Week.
Discovery used to use this power for good in an attempt to educate the public about this badly misunderstood creature, but in recent years, with the increasing popularity of Shark Week programs like Zombie Shark, Lair of the Mega Shark, and Shark of Darkness, Wrath of the Submarine, Discovery is pulling back on their documentaries and playing more and more films designed to highlight the more predatory components of the shark. This is paving way for more media that's focused on the shark as a villain.